Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you just swallow your words? You know, when you really need to speak up, but you stay quiet instead. And you know what? It's like this silent crisis we're all facing. The truth is, most of us aren't getting what we want out of life. And it's not because we're not worthy of it. It's simply because no one ever really taught us how to ask. Well, that's what we're here to change. Let's really break down the art of asking, piece by piece. So, here's the game plan. We're going to break down the whole psychology of asking into 5 really powerful pillars. Think of this as your personal masterclass, right? We're going to dismantle those barriers that have been holding you back so you can finally start unlocking the life you were always meant to live.
All right, let's start with the big one, the elephant in the room, fear. See, the fear of asking isn't just a little hesitation. No. It's a deep psychological wall that's been built up brick by painful brick from our past experiences, our childhood, and all of our deepest insecurities.
I want you to pause for just a second and really think about this. When you hold back, when you hesitate to ask for that raise or for help, what is the actual fear that's running through your mind? Because I'll tell you right now, what you think you're afraid of is almost never the real issue.
Okay, so fear isn't just one thing. It actually operates in layers, kind of like an onion. On the surface, yeah, there's the fear of just hearing the word no. But if you peel that back, you find the fear of being judged, of looking weak or needy. And then, at the very core of it all, is the real driver, this deep-seated fear that asking for something somehow proves that we're unworthy or even unlovable. That right there, that's the real root of our silence.
And here's the crazy part. This fear feels so real because to your brain, it is real. Your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, literally processes social rejection with the same intensity as physical pain. It's called an amygdala hijack. Your ancient survival brain kicks in and treats asking for a promotion like you're facing a saber-toothed tiger. So it's not your fault you freeze up. It's just your neurobiology doing its thing.
So how in the world do you fight back against your own brain's wiring? Well, the secret weapon is clarity. That big, scary monster of fear starts to shrink the moment you get absolutely, undeniably clear on what you actually need, not just what you think you want on the surface. Let's take money, for example. We all say, I want more money, but is it really the paper bills you're after? Of course not. What you're really asking for is the freedom, the security, or maybe the sense of control that you believe the money is going to give you. It's the exact same thing with wanting a new job. You're not just chasing a new title in LinkedIn, are you? You're searching for respect. You're looking to feel valued, to find a place that feels emotionally safe. See, when you misunderstand your own deeper needs, you end up asking for the wrong things. And that, my friend, always leads to the wrong outcomes. So how do you build this kind of laser-focused clarity? Well, you can start by naming the deeper need that's hiding behind your surface desire. Then, you gotta ditch the long, complicated stories we tell ourselves and just frame your true request in one single simple sentence. And this last one is huge. Ask for what you actually want, not some watered-down version you think you're allowed to ask for. Okay, so you've done the work. You know what you want. But that's only half the battle, isn't it? The game completely changes when you master how you ask. This is about the unspoken language of your energy and your timing, and trust me, it can be the difference between a yes and a no. There is this legendary story about Steve Jobs trying to get John Scully to leave Pepsi and join Apple. He failed. Twice. You know why? Because his energy was desperate. It was needy. But the third time, he totally changed his approach. He just calmly and confidently asked this incredible question. It wasn't just the words that worked. It was the grounded, conviction-filled energy that came with them. Here's the thing you have to get. Emotions are contagious. When you ask with that tense, desperate energy, the other person feels it. It puts pressure on them. It pushes them away. But when you ask with a calm, confident energy, you make them feel safe. You make them feel respected. You're not cornering them. You're inviting them into a conversation. And this exact same awareness applies to timing. A brilliant request made at the absolute worst time becomes a bad request. The skill of reading the room, of seeing when someone is stressed versus when they're open and receptive, that's what we call temporal intelligence. Master this, and you will dramatically increase your odds of success. Okay, so you've done everything right. You've nailed your clarity. Your energy is perfect. Your timing is on point, and you still get a no. Now what? This right here. This is where the true masters of asking really separate themselves from everyone else. I want you to just look at this number. 1009. That is how many times Colonel Sanders was told no before he finally found one person to invest in his chicken recipe and start KFC. Over 1,000 rejections.
So how on earth did he keep going after all that? He used this incredibly powerful reframe. He didn't see rejection as failure. He saw it as feedback. For him, every single no was just another piece of data that was bringing him one step closer to that final yes.
And this idea, it's right at the heart of Carol Dweck's groundbreaking work on mindset. See, if you have a fixed mindset, hearing no feels like a personal judgment on your worth. It feels like it means I'm not good enough. But with a growth mindset, a no is simply information. It's an opportunity to learn, to adjust your approach, and to try again, but this time with a little more wisdom. This all leads to what I think is the ultimate master-level skill: detachment. It's the power to ask for what you want wholeheartedly while knowing deep down that your self-worth is not tied to the outcome. Your job is to ask with integrity. The result, well, that was never in your control to begin with. And that brings us to our final pillar, the one where everything we've talked about, the fear, the clarity, the energy, the resilience, it all comes together. This is about becoming what we call a magnetic asker, the kind of person that people just genuinely feel good about supporting. So what does this person actually look like? Well, a magnetic asker isn't using tricks or techniques, they're just embodying these pillars. They are grounded in their energy, they're crystal clear on their purpose, they're respectful of others' time, they are resilient when they hear no, and most importantly, they are completely authentic. They're not performing, they're just being. Because here's what it all comes down to. True influence isn't about what you say, it's about who you are. Your calm, centered presence is more persuasive than any clever argument. Your steady energy is more credible than any statistic. And your ability to stay centered, no matter what, is your greatest source of authority.
Look, if you only take one single thing away from our time together, please let it be this. Life doesn't just hand you what you deserve on a silver platter. It gives you what you have the clarity, the courage, and the calm composure to actually ask for.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. After everything we've gone through today, what are you finally going to ask for? What conversation are you going to have? What door are you finally going to knock on? The power, it's always been right there in your voice. It's time to finally use it.